Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Evan James. Today we're going to be talking about tattoos and traditionalism. Are tattoos considered traditional? Are they something that would be looked at as a traditional man's values to have? Short answer, no. Let's face facts. For the better majority of traditionalism and what would be looked at as a traditional value, based off of how the average individual will relate to traditionalism as the nuclear families style. No, tattoos in general are not classified as traditional. But if you take in consideration of bloodlines and history and religion, depending on what your religious preferences are, they can technically be classified as traditional. For example, Nordics. Me, for example, I have Sioux and Cherokee Native American blood ties. So, in some extents, yes, it can technically be classified as traditional, but every tattoo you ever get should have meaning. First thing I do when I see somebody with a tattoo is I ask, what's the meaning? If it doesn't have meaning and you just got it because, oh, it makes me look cool, or it's pretty, that's worthless. It has no value. Now, I'm going to go over my tattoos, what the meaning of them is. Now, no, you're not going to get to see all of them because I'm not taking my shirt off for you to see my shoulder piece back here or my thigh piece. Sorry, I'm not taking my pants off for you. Get over it. But I will describe and give a little bit of an explanation. Now, the whole meaning of me doing this video is so that way I can lead by example. Is getting a tattoo a good idea? No. If I had the money to get some of this stuff lasered off, I would. If I knew I could manage to lead by example to show that, hey, getting a tattoo is not generally going to be worth it in the end, I'd do it. And when you hear the meaning and how much of an impact the better majority of these tattoos actually have, it's going to hit home for some people. If you're in the military, this is going to hit home big time on some of these tattoos. So let's dive into it. Ladies and gentlemen, by the end of this video, I would love to hear your comments and opinions on your thoughts with these tattoos. If you have tattoos, leave a comment below describing a little bit what your tattoo is and what the meaning of it is. If it has no meaning, then tell me one thing. Is it truly something that has genuine value? Genuinely. So let's get started. IGY6 break NM22 semicolon. That is to represent I've got your 6, I've got your back. NM, no more 22 semicolon, no more 22 suicide. For the 22 veterans who commit suicide daily, statistically speaking, 22 veterans will commit suicide every single day. That is to raise awareness for the troops. And taking in consideration that I have been in a very dark place before, and I'll explain that at the end of the video. It's something that's going to hit home for a lot of vets who are going through a really tough time. So let's get into some of the ones that mean a little bit less, and then we'll come back around to those. The one that I am least proud of, I'd have to say, would be this one. It's a tribal scorpion that signifies the time of season that I was born. And the tribal is due to the fact that I have Native American blood ties. I am also McCoy hillbilly descendant as well. No, that does not make me an ignorant inbred fool that doesn't know the difference between day and night. Was this a good one for me to get? No. Part of the reason why I got it was because, well, I don't celebrate my date of birth. Haven't desired to since I was a preteen. I had to grow up at an early age, and I didn't really have a family. So one of the things that I desire, and I have longed for since I was about 12, 13 years old, is to have a family of my own. 5 children and a wife. A little girl who could be a daddy's girl, end up being a tomboy, and then 2 sons that I would ultimately be able to raise into legitimate traditional men, and then 2 more little girls that they wouldn't be mine. Now, they'd be my children. They'd be from my loins. But those would be mama's girls. They wouldn't be daddy's. And I'm 29 years old. Every year on my date of birth, minus twice, out of 29 years, I have felt completely alone, I have been single, and I have hated life. So I have no reason to celebrate it. Now, based off of the time of year, by the time that season starts to roll around, everybody forgets. You got Halloween, you got Thanksgiving. I bring up the Marine Corps birthday. Then you got immediately Black Friday and Christmas getting ready to roll. So everybody will forget. Because it's up here on my shoulder, it's not right there in your face. You won't see it, you won't remember. Out of sight, out of mind. So everybody will forget, which makes it really easy and convenient for me to get everybody just to kind of put it out of their mind. Because when the one thing you have longed for since you were a kid, you have yet to be able to receive, it makes celebrating seem worthless. Because I don't want one of these non-traditional hoes. I want a real woman, a traditional woman, a conservative woman, someone who has the capability of giving me pretty much the modern day version of the Waltons. Someone who can keep me straight and true and keep me rooted in being a God-fearing, traditional, conservative man. And look around. In this Western world, it is impossible to find that. I mean, seriously. Point out a truly traditional woman. Because I've yet to find one. Next tattoo that I'm going to go over also refers again back to my Native American heritage. It's a tribal yin-yang turtle over my heart. Now, a yin-yang represents good and bad, love and hurt. You can't have growth without pain. You have to have some pain. That's why when everybody out there in this day and age goes, oh, why won't, just because somebody doesn't want me, just because, oh, I ask, walk up to somebody, hey, would you go out with me? No. Oh, well, forget you. No, that's entitlement. That's patheticness. That's worthlessness. Why not try this? If I were to walk up to you and say, hey, would you want to go out with me? And you go, no. Okay, that's fine. That's whatever. I didn't ask any questions. Now, if I were to say, hey, I'm interested in you, I like you, what would it take for me to be able to get you to want to go out on a date or go get coffee with me? Now that gives you the opportunity of saying, hey, well, I'm not interested in you because whether you're a lesbian, whether it's because you're entitled, because, oh, you make 6-7 digits a year and your average man makes what, 5, 6 if he's lucky. Okay, maybe you don't date white guys. Whatever the reason is, you now are presented with the opportunity to say why you wouldn't, which is killing any self-righteousness off. Now, I wouldn't be able to be self-righteous, self-entitled, and be like, oh, well, I deserve for you to say yes because I asked you. No, that's pathetic. I hate it when I see people doing that. It's disgusting and disgraceful. This shoulder here, on my shoulder blade, I have a tattoo that, honestly, the guy who was the tattoo artist that did it is very lucky I didn't knock his teeth down his throat. Now, I say that not as a joke, but literal. I told him I wanted a Doberman Pinscher head, and written above it and below it, I wanted the phrase, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Now, I wanted a Doberman Pinscher head, but he was like, I can't quite do that, but I got an idea as to one that you will really like. Now, I trusted the guy. Big mistake on my part. I messed up there. I should never have trusted this man. He ended up doing a 5-finger death punch logo. Now, yes, this was back in when I was heavily into more metal rock type music, and that is technically where I got the phrase from. Downfall. Okay, it's the demonic looking skull with the knuckle duster. That does not represent what I want it to show. And it's not a little piece. Now, this thing, it's about that big on my back. It's a good couple inches across. Oh, okay. It's got nothing to do representing what I wanted it to. The writing that he did is god awful, and most people can't even read it. So, would I have that lasered off? In a heartbeat. And when I ended up, after he got done with it, if he had tried to charge me anything for it, I would have shoved every last penny up his rear end. And I would have made him swallow that tattoo gun. Because now it's going to cost me hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get that removed. So, be very careful what tattoo artist you trust. Make sure that whenever you do get a tattoo, that you see it long before they ever put it on you. Otherwise, you will be making a grave mistake. Learn from my mistake. Learn from my mistake. Because otherwise you will be doing damage to yourself that you might not be able to easily undo. Yes, I'm not perfect. I have screwed up in my past, and I'm willing to admit that. Do I regret getting that one? Wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. Now, is the quote a good, heavy-hitting quote that would drive people to push themselves better? Oh yeah. There's nothing wrong with the quote, but when you can't even read it, it's meaningless. And this is me trying to show you that, hey, you need to be careful who you trust and to what extent you trust them. Because not everybody out there is actually going to genuinely care. whether they're your friends or not. My thigh piece, it's a skull, a Native American skull and headdress. That one represents my Native American heritage, and is it one that I regret? Not really. I mean, I'm proud that, that's what I come from, and that as a people, the Native Americans weren't someone who just necessarily gave in to every little whim. And when the Pilgrims and stuff came over, what did they do? They taught. They wanted to lead by example, which is one of the things that I'm trying to do. That's why I want to work with the Daily Wire so bad, is to teach and lead by example. Do I know that in the end, I'm going to be paying a grave sacrifice? Yes, I am well aware. I'm well aware that me being honest and open and giving you all the answers to what a traditional man values is going to get me labeled as a misogynist. I'm well aware that I'm going to be slandered. I'm going to have people wanting to come after me. I know that speaking out against the social norm is going to make me a target. But you know what? I would rather die on my feet, if that's what it takes. Somebody wanting to come after me and say, you know what? We're going to jump you, beat you, stab you, shank you, shoot you, whatever. Go for it. Because I'd rather die on my feet representing what I stand for than to serve on my knees. I believe his name is Michael Knoll at the Daily Wire. Wanted to sit there and act like, oh, well, speaking out in conservative manners and traditionalism is so dangerous. And then wanted to follow it up with I'm not trying to deter you, but, and then got that little grin, the same kind of grin that you see the Joker and the Riddler having in every Batman movie. The thing is, saying but like he did is insinuating I don't really mean that I'm not trying to deter you, that I'm not trying to strike fear into you. As somebody who is rooted in Christianity, I will say I don't fear the valley of the shadow of death. Somebody wants to come at me, go for it. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to sacrifice and compromise on my beliefs, my traditionalism for you. Not happening. Someone needs to be able to have their balls drop and lead these younger generations. And if that means I have to sacrifice everything to do so, then so be it. One of the things tattoo-wise that is going to hit home for a lot of troops is what's on my right wrist. Honor, courage, commitment. Those are my Marine Corps ethos. That is what a Marine represents. The same ethos and values that are in the hearts of every traditional man out there. Convince me I'm wrong. This one here. 3 barcodes to represent 3rd Battalion for 3rd Battalion Mike Company. I picked a barcode to represent because, well, quite frankly, all 3rd Battalion Mike Company recruits, and I was medically discharged out of boot camp. I was in platoon 3089, 2nd Deck Lead Series. I was on MCRD Paris Island. And every one of us are the same. We hit hard and we scream loud. And we aren't afraid to stand up for what we believe in. I've yet to meet one that truly has Marine Corps values and doesn't have that same generic imprint in them. We're all the same when it comes down to it. We'll use our face to unlock doors if we have to. The digits there represent, to the government, we are just a number. We are meaningless to the government. But even though that's got a lot of digits there for that number, the Marines have been around for many generations. But only, I believe it's what, 8% or less than 8% of American males will ever have what it takes to make it all the way to Marine Corps boot camp. Less than 8%. It's not a very big number. And the fact that I made it, even though I was medically discharged, I was there for 2 months, but I gave it my all, and it is what it is. Now, the word Ronin, it might be backwards for y'all in the video, but that's not from 47 Ronin. A samurai is a Japanese warrior. A Marine is a warrior. Okay? A Ronin is a samurai who has been shunned. He no longer has a master. He is usually disgraced and dishonored. I was medically dropped out of Marine Corps boot camp. I was shunned away, and that is what I consider to be one of my biggest and greatest failures. And that tattoo represents who I am. It reminds me every day that, hey, I need to push and drive to be better today than I was yesterday. And remember that tomorrow I will be even better than I am today. Every day striving for better and greater. That's what that represents to me. And would I be willing to have that lasered off? Even though it has such deep meaning, if I knew I could get rid of it and it would guide and help and push younger generations to be better, I'd do it. Would it suck getting rid of what I use to represent me? Especially because I don't have a team. I don't have, like the Daily Wire has, a bunch of people to stand beside me to sharpen my steel. Steel sharpens steel. I have no one to truly, really sharpen my steel. Would I be willing to sacrifice that to help push younger generations? Wholeheartedly. This here, the Spartan helmet with a little bit of tribal and a Spartan shield. The Spartans, the Marines are considered to be like the Spartans. Mighty, powerful, a camaraderie. Each one's shield helps protect not just themselves, but also the man on their left and their right. They protect each other. They have each other's back. They don't give an inch, they take that mile. And the best camaraderie, the closest thing to a brotherhood, as far as a group of people that I've ever been associated with, including compared to my relatives. The Marines was the closest thing to what I would call family that I actually have known. And I only had them for 2 months. Now, yeah, that covers all my tattoos. I will explain why I was medically discharged. There was an incident that happened, and the events that led up to the incident that prior to boot camp resulted in me hearing a gun go off over the phone that took the lives of the two people that I looked at as the closest thing to family that I had. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Lethal Weapon, but I know what it's like to be in that dark of a position that I know what it's like to feel like rakes. I know what it's like to sit there and try and find an excuse not to squeeze that trigger. Which is why the 22 is such a heavy-hitting thing with me. I've been in that hole. I had no one to help pull me out. My so-called friends and family had abandoned me. I know what it's like to feel alone. And if you're in the military, if you're a veteran, just know you can do it. You can make it. I made it. I'm not going into detail about the events leading up to what happened, but ultimately, while on the phone, when I heard that gun go off, it took me a long time to cope and get over the fact that there was nothing I could do to change what happened. And I did end up blaming myself because I had been asked to go with one of them. One of them asked me to go along. And as somebody who usually has his head and eyes on a swivel, I would have seen what was going on. I would have most likely been able to have deterred and changed the situation. In life, we have decisions we have to make. Go left, go right. It doesn't matter which decision you make. You make a decision, and it is what it is. You don't get to go back and change history. And whatever decision you made, you have to live with it. If you made a decision and you're in the military and you hear those voices, you see those faces, get help. As somebody who would be a veteran, there is helplines out there for you. And no, you don't need a bottle. You don't need to climb inside one. It's not going to help. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I've got for today. My name's Evan James. If you like these videos, you want to see more content, you want to help promote me to be able to grow the channel, help be able to lead future generations, like, subscribe, share. I would love to be able to work with the Daily Wire and actually leading the next generations. So help me manage to reach out to them somehow. You all have a great day. Stay out of trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, just one quick follow-up. I do want to apologize for the way that I was about to leave this video. I needed to take a couple minutes. That's what I ended up discussing with you all is not something that I can do very easily. And I hope that you all understand that I've been through the ringer. But don't go thinking that I've still got a bunch of problems going on. I've been through the fire, and as the saying goes, the strongest steels are forged in the hottest of fires. I've been through so much fire and so much turmoil, and I've come out the other side. I'm still alive. I'm still fine. It's been many a years since the incidents happened. But I just want to make sure that you all are well aware that, one, I'm fine. Two, there is one follow-up that I did forget to make mention on. The zodiac scorpion on my shoulder. Another reason why I did get that was also a deterrent. If a female sees that and they go, oh, well, you're a Scorpio, we're not compatible. Well, first off, that tells me automatically we're not compatible on any level, because what time of season I was born doesn't define who I am. What defines who I am is what's inside. The stuff I've been through that has strengthened me, like the reasons why I was diagnosed with PTSD and clinical depression, which is why I was discharged from boot camp. It strengthens me. It builds my character. I don't want your sympathy and your pity. I want you to realize I've been through stuff, but I came out the other side stronger. And that's what's going to define who I am. We all go through things in life. We can't let it just keep us down. We need to let it become our tool to be stronger. And if somebody sees my Scorpio tattoo and goes, oh, well, we're really compatible and this, that, and other, or you start leaning into the star signs and stuff, we're not compatible at all then, is what that tells me. Which is a deterrent to deter me away from those non-traditional females, and also a deterrent to keep those that think that that makes us non-compatible. They can go away. I don't want it. Don't need it. Don't care. It is what it is. But I just want you all to realize that I never got that tied to show who I am, just when I was born. And I want you all to know that I am fine. It has been several years. I was medically discharged out of boot camp in October of 2015. So it's been quite a while. I'm fine. I don't want you all to start worrying and having pity for me and stuff. I don't want your pity. Okay? I just want you all to know that. And you all have a great rest of your day. And as I said, stay out of trouble. But make sure you have fun.